Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are taking on the impossible task, ranking the 50 greatest cricketers of all time, from the legends of the past to the modern icons. Let's start. At 50, it's Kane Williamson, New Zealand's greatest modern batter with a technique of pure ice. At 49, Bill O'Reilly, the leg spinner that Don Bradman himself called the toughest he ever faced. At 48, Joe Root, England's run machine who has carried their batting lineup for over a decade. At 47, Courtney Walsh, the first man to ever take 500 wickets in Test cricket history. At 46, Anil Kumble, India's jumbo, who famously took all 10 wickets in a single innings. At 45, James Anderson, the swing king and the most prolific fast bowler the game has ever seen. At 44, Joel Garner, the big bird whose yorkers from the clouds were impossible to dig out. At 43, Sir Everton Weekes, the powerful striker who still holds the record for 5 consecutive Test centuries. At 42, Graham Pollock, a left-handed genius who averaged over 60 before isolation cut his career short. At 41, Sir Frank Worrell, the first black captain of the West Indies who united the islands with grace. At 40, Shaun Pollock, a bowling metronome who could also smash the ball out of the park. At 39, Greg Chappella, the dominant Australian icon of the 1970s known for his elegant stroke play. At 38, Ab de Villiers, Mr. 360, the man who could hit any ball to any part of the stadium. At 37, MS Dhoni, Captain Cool, the greatest finisher and tactical brain in white ball history. At 36, Alan Border, the gritty fighter who dragged Australian cricket from rock bottom to world champions. At 35, Fred Truman, the first man to reach 300 wickets, known for his fiery pace and attitude. At 34, Sydney Barnes, the mysterious bowler with an average of 16, who might be the most skilled ever. At 33, Waqar Younis, the king of reverse swing whose toe-crushing yorkers were terrifying. At 32, Keith Miller, the golden boy of Australia, was a match winner with both bat and ball. At 31, Javed Miandad, Pakistan's greatest street fighter who never gave up until the last ball. At 30, Rahul Dravid, the wall of Indian cricket, famous for his unbreakable defense and patience. At 29, Steve Wouf, the Iceman who thrived under pressure and defined Australian mental toughness. At 28, Sir Curtly Ambrose, he rarely spoke, but his devastating bowling spells silenced every stadium. At 27, Dennis Lillee, the complete fast bowler who combined pace, movement and pure aggression. At 26, George Headley, known as the Black Bradman, he carried the West Indies batting entirely on his own. At 25, Kumar Sangakkara, a left-handed poet with a bat who averaged a stunning 57 in Test cricket. At 24, Kapil Dev, the Haryana Hurricane who led India to the 1983 World Cup and inspired a nation. At 23, Sir Ian Botham, the ultimate entertainer who could win a match with bat or ball in a single session. At 22, Dale Steyn, the Steyn gun, combining extreme pace and swing to become a modern legend. At 21, Sir Leigh Hutton, the technical master who held the record for the highest Test score for 20 years. At 20, Steve Smith, with his unique shuffling style, he's the hardest batsman to get out since Bradman. At 19, Glenn McGrath, the most accurate bowler ever, who predicted his wickets and then took them. At 18, Wally Hammond, a majestic driver of the ball and the only true rival to Don Bradman in his era. At 17, Malcolm Marshall, the smartest and most complete fast bowler to ever play the game. At 16, Adam Gilchrist, the man who changed cricket forever by proving a wicketkeeper could bat like a beast. At 15, Sunil Gavaskar, the little master who was the first to 10,000 runs while facing the deadliest pacers without a helmet. At 14, Sir Richard Hadlee, a one-man army who carried New Zealand's attack and took 400 wickets. At 13, Wasim Akram, the Sultan of Swing, a left-arm magician who could make the ball talk. At 12, Ricky Ponting, the most successful captain in history and an uncompromising pull-shot master. At 11, Imran Khan, the Lion of Pakistan, a legendary all-rounder and inspirational leader. At 10, Brian Lara, the Prince of Trinidad, the only man to score 400 in a test and 501 in first class. At 9, Sir Jack Hobbs, the master who scored 199 first-class centuries, more than anyone in history. At 8, Jackie Scullis, with 25,000 runs and 500 wickets, he was essentially two world-class players in one. At 7, Sir V. Richards, the master blaster who batted without a helmet and intimidated bowlers with pure swagger. At 6, Virat Kohli, King Kohli, the chase master whose intensity and consistency redefined modern cricket. At 5, Muthaiya Muralidharan, the wizard of spin who took a world record 800 test wickets. At 4, Shane Warne, the king of spin who bowled the ball of the century and revived the art of leg spin. At 3, Sir Garfield Sobers, the most gifted cricketer ever, who could bowl spin, pace and bat like a dream. At 2, Sir Donald Bradman, the Don, whose batting average of 99.94 is a record that will never be broken. At 1, Sachin Tendulkar, the god of cricket, with 100 international centuries and a legacy that unites the world. If you want to see greatest all-rounders of all time, click the above video. And that is the list. Who is your favorite cricketer of all time? Did I miss anyone? Let me know in the comments below.